What you doing, Rob?
Hey Manny, don't tell anybody, but I'm not doing anything right now. I'm actually just watching the research team from Fort Hays State University doing their nest dragging project here, looking for grassland nesting birds.
My name is Kirsten I am looking at the relationship between birds and vegetation on Nature Conservancy property within Cheyenne Bottoms. So the point of my project is to see how grazing affects bird richness or bird species abundance and bird nesting success, in particular grassland nesting birds. So we are looking at different grazing properties. We're looking at season-long grazing properties, rotational grazing properties, and properties that are ungrazed to see how this vegetation affects the bird abundance and success. The season-long plots have cows in the pasture for the entire season. The rotational plots have cows in the pasture for 2 months of the season with one month left to rest. And then the ungrazed plots don't have any cows and are not managed by KWEC or Nature Conservancy.
Here on the Cheyenne Bottoms Preserve, we actually manage for two groups of birds, shorebirds and grassland birds. With the shorebirds, we're trying to manage for the stopover habitat during spring and fall migration. Shorebirds like short grass and sparse grass, so we use a combination of techniques such as grazing, haying in late summer, mowing in the fall, and even disking of places that could be wet in the spring to create that sparse mudflat habitat. And our surveys are showing that this is working. We were seeing good numbers of shorebirds starting to increase on the preserve. The other group, grassland nesting birds, our main management technique is grazing. And we use different types of grazing, 3-pasture rotation, 2-pasture rotation, and season long. But we really don't know if this is really working. We can tell by our point counts that there's more birds in the rotational grazing, but we don't know if the nesting is being successful or things like that. So in order to guide our management, we partnered with Fort Hays State University, particularly graduate student Kirsten, to do this research project.
I'm Elsie Miller and I'm Kirsten's research assistant for this summer. What are we doing in the video? We're nest dragging, and the rope is about 30 meters long, and every 5 meters we have pop cans, and they are full of rocks. And these pop cans make noise in hopes that we will flush birds. And once we flush a bird, we go to the point where we saw the bird flush, and we search for a nest. If we find a nest, we use a GPS and we mark the point so that we can find it later.
Our plots are 16 hectares in area, and we have a nest dragging plot, 8 hectares in area in the middle of it. And then around the nest dragging plot we have a pentagon shape, and at each point of the pentagon we have a bird point count station, and each of these bird point counts are 200 meters away from each other. And so each of these stations will count birds. We'll also do terrestrial vegetation surveys. And the reason that we put the plots where we put them is because we need to make sure that all our plots were at least 150 meters away from any sort of other habitat, such as wetland, any sort of like agricultural area, or any sort of roads.
What kind of data do you collect?
Okay, so the data I collect with the nest dragging is basically just nesting success. So once we find a nest, we just look at how many eggs there are, how many nestlings there are, if the nest was predated, if there are cowbird eggs present, and then we just write down the status. And then after we're done and we're done recording the nest and we know a fate for the nest, we can actually calculate something called exposure. And in calculating this exposure, we can just see how successful the nests are in each grazing plot.
Can you talk a little bit about cowbirds?
So cowbirds are a parasitic bird species. They're actually didn't used to be common in Kansas, but since we've been planting lots of trees around the grasslands and with shelter belts, cowbirds are becoming more common. And so what they do is they actually lay their eggs in the nests of other bird species, and their babies usually have redder throats and tend to hatch earlier and tend to be larger. And so the grassland birds will preferentially feed the cowbirds over their own chicks. So this can reduce the success of the nests in the grassland habitat.
What do you hope to find out throughout your project?
I want to see how grassland bird nesting success is affected by these grazing techniques on Cheyenne Bottoms property, so we can see how the Nature Conservancy can better develop their grazing property in a way that benefits grassland bird nesting success.
And what has your data shown you so far?
Data has shown so far that we actually do not get very many birds on the ungrazed properties. We think this is because of the litter depth on these properties. We're actually getting more birds on the continuous and the rotational plots. We're not quite sure which of these plots is more important to bird nesting success, so we will know that after we finish our seasons of research.
I am Dr. Madhavi Ambudar, and I am an assistant professor at Fort Hays State University. And what my role in this project is kind of a role of advisor on the project. So Kirsten is the one who kind of developed everything and came up with the research questions and the methods that she would use. And I was kind of there to kind of look at it and see, okay, is this going to hold water? Is this going to work logistically? So that's kind of one side of what I do. And then the other side of what I do, which is the more fun side, is essentially being Kirsten's field assistant occasionally and helping with nest dragging.
Through nest dragging, we have one more species we have not shown you yet, a grasshopper sparrow. Their populations have declined 2.5% per year between 1966 and 2015, resulting in a cumulative decline of 72% over that period. It has been labeled as a common bird in steep decline and are very vulnerable to habitat loss. They respond well to management that includes prescribed burns and light to moderate grazing. They are weak flyers and tend to walk or run rather than fly. They spend much of their time seeking insects and seeds, and true to their name, eat grasshoppers. They may be hard to spot sticking to clumps of grass and running on the ground, but are identifiable by their thin, insect-like buzzing song.